Yeah. I know you got problems, know you at the bottom, know you took a loss today. Everybody want bottles, living for a throttle, you just want ball today. Tell me joy, where it's hiding, I've been trying to find it before I go all the way. Cause everybody got problems, everybody starving, but don't you go off today.
The dedicated podcasters of the Brilliant All Done Podcast are part of an elite podcasting unit. These are their stories. My name is Tracy. That's my boy Mike. What's good with you, Mike?
What's going on, my brother? How you doing?
Yo, man, another day above ground, so I can't complain. Happy to be chopping it up with you one more time on the All Done Podcast.
Yes, sir.
So what we talking about tonight, man? We're gonna keep current events. We're gonna talk about some recent stuff going on.
We're going to talk about some recent stuff going on, the biggest being the Super Bowl. Biggest thing right now, you know. Shout out to a lot of people that was in that game. We already knew. Huh?
It was a decent game. I enjoyed it.
It was straight, you know. People be gambling, winning money and stuff like that. So, you know, it's definitely a financial time of the year, right?
Not I. But yeah, shout out to those people that were able to pull that off.
Yeah. Definitely. So what's up? What you got?
Tom Brady's a warlock. So I mean, I think that's what a lot of people already knew. I mean, the man is
damn near immortal.
Yeah, I'm about to say it's kind of just from a football perspective at that level to see. I mean, you've never seen nothing like that. So I've been seeing a lot of people on some hating-ish, which is unfortunate.
I mean, excuse me, other than him being who he is, like off the field, and which I don't know how many political standpoints he made, which is a lot, and it says a lot in itself, but you can't deny the fact that the man is the GOAT.
We can get into that. I think that's a very interesting segue. But as far as him, right, and I think people are multifaceted. As a football player, how can you have a problem?
Right. Like great leader, great passer. He goes to a team who was what either last or second to last in the division,
well, they called
and bring them to the Super Bowl.
They haven't been to the playoffs in decades.
Yeah, so and brought him to the playoffs, not brought him to the Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl quite easily. Just to be real, quite easily.
It did look like he was unstressed by
having fun, running up on people, you know.
Touchdown. He had played in Super Bowl 45 as a rookie. Bruce Arians was the offensive coordinator for the Steelers. He caught one ball for 1 yard, was mostly a returner. And again, Brady and Matt.
Yeah, we could talk about that too. I mean, we could start there. Like, I don't know if Brady, like, I don't know Honey Badger. I don't know Thomas either, but I don't think Brady wants to smoke with Tyrann Matthew.
I don't think on a personal level he doesn't want to smoke, but football world, he wanted to smoke.
Yeah, but there's a very fine line with like football world. Like, yeah, what if he just hauled off and like,
but then that's taking the game outside the lines, like, you know.
I mean, it was already outside the lines. My man, I don't think I've ever seen in all of the football I've watched and had the pleasure of watching Tom Brady. I don't ever think I've seen him run down on somebody like that.
To the 27. That is a terrific. Brady and Chris Jones renewing acquaintances.
Now you got a little skirmish breaking out. You said Stork a little late in getting up. Brady is.
I mean, but at the end of the day, he's a competitor. Just because you've never seen him do it, you've seen it done.
I have, but not from G golly wow, Tom Brady. Like,
I mean, he's a competitor. Like one of the things I talked about that. I was talking about that because we seen it happen. We watched the game, and I was like, you know, people say stuff about like him, you know, the nice guys in sports. You know, people say the same thing about Steph Curry.
Right.
Like, but if you listen to some people talk about it, like, nah, you know, y'all see this, but nah, they savages. They are ultimate competitors. That's not new. Like, you feel me? So I wasn't like that thrown off by it.
I was a little shocked because that's not in his character.
It's not, but he's been known to be fiery. It's just usually toward his own teammates.
Yeah, I ain't never seen him run down on especially a person they call Tyron the Honey Badger.
The Honey Badger. Maybe they thought he was soft.
He didn't get that name because he's on some soft-ish, right? Like that's Honey Badger.
He got it as a football name,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, but I mean, if you was to encounter a Honey Badger, it's probably not a.
Yeah, no. I mean, he didn't get a shot, but it's at a tone. You feel me for the team, right?
I mean, I had Brady winning it because it's just I've seen this movie play out too many times.
But I didn't have Brady winning it.
I mean, I wanted Patrick to win, but something in me just knew like this dude has done this time and time and time and time again. So
let's not take away, and of course, because he's the quarterback, of course he gets all the credit and everything. But let's not take away from the outstanding running game. They ran the ball. They ran the ball a lot. The amazing play. I was surprised you talking about Brady and you a D lineman. The amazing play of the D line.
The Buccaneers dominated the game in all phases.
Facts.
And so
facts.
What happens. But Brady was easy. It really did. It looked really easy for him, to be honest.
So I know he made a statement, but what do you think? Do you think he should just let it go or keep playing or?
I mean, he's gonna keep playing. He said that, so
he said it, but people say a lot of things. You feel me?
I think he should because I heard somebody talking about that this morning. Like, I don't want to see him go out on top. I want to see somebody put him out. Like, you got to be done now because the league is
kind of like a pass the torch. I think that's what I think would have been cool. Like if Pat would have won it, and it's kind of like a pass the torch type vibe.
Word, that would have been cool. But being that this old MF won it again, it's like, yeah, you can't just walk out now. Like you gotta go defend the title. You the quarterback. You gotta go defend the title.
You ride off into the sunset is what you do.
He ain't no linebacker or D lineman. He's the quarterback.
Didn't Peyton Manning do that?
Yes, he did, but he was done.
Yeah.
That last Super Bowl, he didn't win it. It was that defense.
I mean, Tom Brady didn't win it. It was that defense. I mean, Tom Brady, don't get me wrong, he ball, but you got to think they held the Chiefs touchdown list.
I'm not saying that they didn't have a great game, but if you go back and look at Peyton's last Super Bowl, it didn't look like Peyton didn't have control of that game. I think that last year.
No, that was Von Miller.
Yeah, like that defense was just really, really good. They had a really good defense. They got after Cam Newton.
Absolutely.
Peyton was shot, and I think everybody kind of knew that.
Yeah, I don't think he played most of that season, did he?
I think he did, but it didn't look good.
Okay.
I believe that was the season after he was the MVP, and they played. They looked really well. But then that next year, he kind of fell off a cliff. So it was like
he was battling injuries. The head gets heavy.
He was older, but
it happens. It happens.
That's not what I seen yesterday.
That's how I left my playing career on top.
Well, you're also a lineman, so it's different for you. As a quarterback,
I get to ride off into the sunset without questions.
Yeah, especially if Brady was a walkaway right now. I mean, I think to him, and I don't know, but I think to him, I always wonder, like, what if?
Could I've done it again? I don't think so. When you got 7 Super Bowls, what other questions could there be? What, can he go to the Jets and win another one? Is that his question?
We might be looking at a Tampa Bay dynasty. I mean, a lot of that.
Come on, nah.
You don't think so?
It depends on who they got to replace him.
What I'm trying, they might. Now I'm talking about with him. So who's really leaving? Or I mean, they got a couple linebackers that need to be resigned, but for the most part, all the vital pieces are coming back.
I mean, yeah, but can you call it a dynasty? Because it'll only be a year or two if he does.
It'll be 2 years, and then yes, we can definitely start having conversations about a dynasty. So my question is, are they in contention to win it again next year? Why wouldn't they be?
Well, yeah, right. You can't say no because they just did it.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it depends on how the offseason shapes up, right?
I mean, I guess, but what could happen? I mean, I think the Deshaun domino still has to fall.
Definitely.
So that'll influence, depending on where he goes.
So much.
Yeah, I feel like that'll make a real big difference.
The draft still has to happen.
That's true, but what the draft is...
You don't think the draft can make a difference?
I mean, you're going to get Jacksonville to get Trevor Lawrence. Is Jacksonville going to... No.
They got Carolina getting Fields, right? In the mock drafts.
So
well, you saying so, but that helps my Madden game tremendously.
That's dope. I like Justin Fields, but like Carolina Panthers with Justin Fields, a Super Bowl contender in that division, I don't think so.
I think they'll have a run. You know, you had a Carolina team without a Christian McCaffrey for most of the year.
That's true.
They have a decent secondary that's growing and getting and progressing.
My point is we could debate about it, but they didn't even make the playoffs last year.
All right, chill out now.
And they're retooling that front seven still.
Okay.
After the loss of their,
it's gonna be a tough division.
It is, because I mean, people hate on Jameis, but if he's the starter in New Orleans, I like Sean Payton as a guy that can settle a quarterback like Jameis down and cut some of those turnovers out.
So here's my question.
Saints have always been in contention. My point is, yes, it is very plausible that if we were sitting here next year and seeing Tom Brady in the Super Bowl again, it would be like, oh, yeah.
It wouldn't be a shocker because he's Tom Brady.
Exactly. So that's my point.
Because he was
looking at the start of a dynasty.
I could see that. I guess I get that in a sense. I have a question. I do have a question, kind of. So let's talk about what football meant to you and like you personally in the different phases of your life, like as far as from a player to coaching. You know, what's let's start with being a player. Like, what was that to you?
Yeah, I guess that's appropriate. Coming off the Super Bowl, biggest game of a football year. Mm-hmm. To me, it was about structure. Like, I wasn't the kid who loved school, so football, especially at the college level, provided me structure. It provided me a reason to go to class, because if I didn't go to class, I couldn't play ball. So for me, and I think for a lot of student athletes, that's a big part of it. It provides you that reason, that purpose that you need to possibly, go to classes that maybe you don't like. And I like some of my classes, especially once I got into like more major related stuff, but a lot of the course or English 101, I had no real motivation to go to intro to English or whatever intro classes. I had no motivation. I knew if I didn't go, football wasn't going to be there. So as a college athlete, I definitely think it provided me with structure.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to say for me as a player, it provides camaraderie. Like, you'll be amazed how close you become to people you play with.
Yeah, some of them. Yeah.
You meet some of your best friends in life through football and things, and that level of competition.
I agree.
That level of competition, like all that, like so. That's as a player that it brings a different you out. Like we just talked about Tom Brady running up on the honey badger. Like, you won't catch him at Walmart running up on a honey badger, but it brings a different person out a lot of times. And
I would agree.
So that's what it did for me. It brought, honestly, gave me a reason to actually, like I said, I'm not the biggest workout buff, but I knew I had to be in a certain type of shape to play. I took that for granted a lot in high school, but as I got older, I realized it took a whole different type of commitment to be able to get on the field to compete. And actually, that's part of the reason I decided to let it go. When I lined up against a guy, like I said, in semi-pro, you'll play against people from almost any level. You'll play against people that never played to people that played in the NFL. Like, you don't know what you're going to get. And I lined up against this guy from a team from Alabama. We playing, and I'm realizing, he's not normal like to what I'm used to playing against as like these years I've been playing. And he's strong, he's fast, he just a whole different type of aggression. So after, like I'm talking about, I'm like, this is probably one of my toughest games in this league and all in semi-pro. And there's like, oh yeah, he played at Bama. Wait, what? Like, nah.
Different.
Like he wasn't just like on the team. Nah, he was played and he was going to be in rotation at Bama. He got hurt. I'm like, yo, bro, like I take shots at Henny. Like, what is he doing on the field with me? So, like I said, but it made me step up my game throughout the rest of that season. And so like I said, the competition can bring out the best in some people.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and more than the competition, because I think any athlete, if you love the game, then that kind of comes out of any athlete that knows it's there, right? I guess like for athletes that really care about their sport, that's in you, right? So sometimes it does come out.
Yeah. So
tell me more about adversity too, like just overcoming problems or obstacles or challenges. I think definitely a lot of the way I'm able to handle problems in my real life is because of the lessons that I learned on the football field, from the ups and downs of the game, and how that goes.
Like, I don't think people realize how much football, for lack of better terms, holds people. And what I mean by that, like, there wasn't a lot of high school sports this year due to COVID or whatever. And like, I think it was Florida that set out some numbers that was just ridiculous with the amount of kids that was arrested, few killed, few dropped out of school.
That's really
few teenage, like, and of course that happens anyway, but it just followed the high school athletes and what happened to them once they weren't able to play and go to school and stuff. And we could see it here in Jackson, like crime has always been a thing. Like, it's been crazy outside, but it's been ridiculous outside. Like, it's almost scary to just go to work every day because of what's going on, and that's crazy. So that's that. I don't think people realize how much sports hold people together.
Yeah, that structure is important, especially for not even on a collegiate level, but even for like us in high school. Like all the dumb shit that we did, I think it would have been tenfold if we didn't have to.
If we had a whole fall to do that same thing, you feel me?
Just getting into crazy shit. Now, granted, after the season was over, Jesus take the wheel. But
yeah, Jesus take the wheel. I got a fun fact about me. Like, everybody know, I like to drink. I'm a drinker. A lot of people I knew started drinking in high school. I did not start drinking until after I played my last high school football game. I'm talking about like months after, because I felt like it would affect me as far as football goes.
Yeah.
So that's crazy how football hold people. But I mean, granted, I was still too young, so don't listen to this like, oh yeah, no, he did it. Nah, granted, got to be too.
Shouldn't do dumb shit.
Yeah, don't do dumb stuff. But I'm just saying that as a where I was. So the second part of that question was, now how does it change how you look at the sport as a coach, and then how does it affect you as a coach now?
From a football perspective, and coaching, I think it allows you to have a say into guiding young men. Like, obviously growing up in a single parent home, for me, there wasn't necessarily a male figure every day. I mean, for me, yes, there was. I'm lying. So Pop was always there, but that wasn't. I don't know. Our relationship was a little bit different because he was coming from a different era. Now, granted, I got a ton of game from him, but Pop was old. He's 70, whatever. Like,
yeah,
I was growing up. He was in his 70s. So it was like the game he taught me was valuable, and I cherish it. But it wasn't like, hey, Pop was going to teach me how to go to college and be successful there. Or Pop was going to teach me how to do, like, he wasn't in some of those things. So some of that game, it was like, okay, you kind of had to find people and places to kind of figure that out. And I'd be lying if I said our high school coaches were like that for me, because that's not true. But I found mentorship through football. Like, I think the first time I started kicking in and really listening to Sheen give us some game is because he was a star.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, shout out to, once again, we say this a lot. Shout out to your OGs, B. Right. The ones that's doing what they're supposed to do.
Right. So Sheen was a star. And I mean, he wasn't perfect because I think he was trying to figure out how to navigate it himself. But I learned a lot from him.
He was a great role model for us.
Yeah, he taught me a lot because he had failed in a few different ways and come up short and had to take a route that maybe he didn't want to take, or that wasn't even, he probably could have found a better route if he only knew X, Y, or Z. And so I was happy to be able to have somebody like that around that had been through it and he played college football, right? Like, so it was nice to kind of be able to pick his brain about certain things. And he wasn't the only one. Who else did we have in the neighborhood that was semi?
Xavier was around a lot. He was one of them people that, I mean, that fall in line was Sheen.
Yeah. Beyond that group, who else was really in the neighborhood as far as I mean, and don't get me wrong, our high school coaches was cool, but I'll say this. I learned.
Froze up for a second.
Can you see me? Can you hear me? You got me now?
Yeah, you back now. You back. Yeah, we back.
I'm not going to say I didn't learn anything from my high school coaches, but the relationship that they had, and I think that just comes from the era of coaching that they were in. Right, a lot of our high school coaches played at this collegiate level, and I think their brand was more do as I say, and it wasn't like the brand of coaching that I try to do now is I care about my kids, and not to say that they didn't care about us, but it was a different type of relationship.
Yeah, facts. No, there's what you get at the more. All right, so we say this a lot when we talk about football and like playing different places and coaching different places and seeing different players. Like there's teams that just have amazing athletes, and then there's teams that have football players. Their brand was I'm coaching football players. I'm not looking for. I don't really care what else is going on. And like I said, I'm not going to say for like you said they didn't care at all. Like they did things like there were certain programs that were started just because of football players. They found out they weren't eating on Friday night, so you had Friday night pizza every week. You feel me? We had early, huh?
The style was different though.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that was it was to the point where it wasn't even like you can do what you want. Like you see that with a lot of athletes now. Like you can do what you want as long as you can perform. Like that wasn't the vibe.
At all.
Nah. But you know what? That goes back to that structure you spoke about. You feel me?
I agree. And like I said, it's not a who's right or wrong thing, but that is not the style that I take when I coach, right? It's more like, hey, I feel like as a coach, I can coach you better if you feel like I genuinely care about you. And like I said, it's not a matter of like Coach P was cool, but he never was like, yo, how's your mom? Right? Like we never had that exchange. And I mean, if you let certain people on that team tell it, I guess I was one of the better players, especially my senior year, as far as performance. But and like I said, it's not like I didn't know he cared, because I did know that he cared. But the way he went about showing that was much different than I think the style and approach that I take today as a coach.
No, absolutely. So for me as a coach, I coach on two different levels. I coach youth, like at a very young age, like I think the oldest is 11 and 12. Yeah. And I coach a full contact women's football. It's for me, let's start with the youth. It's the same thing, like kind of being a mentor to young men. Like I talk to them on a different level, because you got to think a lot of people are just used to, like, athletes just used to being yelled at. Or
we were,
or young brothers and sisters in general are just used to being yelled at for whatever it is, like from your mom yelling at you downstairs, your mom yelling at you outside, like, so a lot of them really don't get
play. Now that I'm mentioning like their style and our style, or the new age style and the old age style, you remember that play? Cat was my junior year.
Yeah, of course I remember that play. The play that you didn't even celebrate, but you got benched.
Yeah, exactly.
But like as we got older, we realized that wasn't even about you celebrating. They wanted a certain player to play.
Yeah.
They wanted a certain player to play. You made a decent play. It was a great play, a nice hit. You running back to the ball and everybody else celebrating around you. Yeah. Tracy, he got this amount of yards and blah, blah, blah. Like, yo, he didn't do nothing. Get out the game.
That's what I was saying. Like, I'm going to let you finish. But that was my whole thing. It was like, even if I was to, because I understand that, like, I'm always on my guys to like, hey, you got to run to the ball. We don't, as a coach, I don't, and I can't speak for all the coaches, but many of the coaches that I know, it's not a matter of aiming to embarrass you anymore. Mm-mm. Like, I think we've turned the corner and we've realized like that's not the best way to get the best performances out of new age athletes. Go ahead.
All right, so yeah, and that's what I was saying. I have players. One thing about coaches, it teach you to reach people in different ways as well. Like some players respond to yelling and that type of energy. Some players don't. Some players you might have to put, I
think some of them respond to. Do you think there are still athletes out there that will respond to you embarrassing them in front of their teammates?
I don't know if it's an embarrassing thing, right? So I think it's I guess it depends on how you look at it. Because I never looked at it as being embarrassing.
No, what happened to me my junior year was embarrassing.
Pretty embarrassing, but there was no fans out there, so
All right, so it was kind of like the whole remember the wee man thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if Zonk I think could have put you in a situation to try to embarrass you, but I don't think he took that approach. I think our teammates were a bunch of assholes, so they kind of was trying.
Wait, which situation? Because so the situation with the wee man.
The board.
I'm gonna explain, huh?
The boards?
It wasn't the boards, it was actually the shoots.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so no, I'm gonna explain it. For those that don't know football, the shoots it's an apparatus to help linemen stay low. You start at one end, it starts lower, it comes up as you go through it. Well, the way we were practicing, we had somebody at the other end to meet you, so you have a drive moment, whatever. And we had this guy on the team, his name was Wee Man. He wasn't the best athlete. We're gonna leave it at that. We're not even gonna go into full detail, huh?
He tried hard.
He tried hard, but he wasn't he wasn't physically there. He was probably like 5'3".
Whatever. That's not neither here nor there to the story.
2'10". No, it is here or there to the story. It's 2'10". He's he might have been a junior. He was a junior that should have been on JV or ninth grade football still. But he tried. He was on the team. He was part of the team. He was one of my brothers. Okay. So I am one of the starters on the team. Pretty good athlete. I come through the shoots, and on the other end is Wee Man. So I make contact with him. I give him a little drive, and I let up. That's all I did. Our head coach happens to pull up at that time. Yeah. Gatewood, you're being lazy. What was that? And goes off on me. Tells the other coach, take me off all starting teams. And
yeah, man, you're right. And you're right. Now that I'm thinking about it, he was kind of trying to embarrass you. He was trying to get after you a little bit.
And then he made me go again. So now I'm in a situation where I'm going again. Now I'm annoyed because coach, if Tracy was in front of me, I wouldn't have done that. You feel me? If we had some other athletes in front of me, that wouldn't have went that way. It would have been more effort. So now I have to go again against the same person. So now I come through the boards, come through the shoots, come off. Now I fire into this dude, drive him back 7 yards, and then push him over and he rolls.
The roll is hilarious.
Who gets better from that situation? Do I get better from that situation?
I mean, I think it was a mentality that they were trying to instill. I think the overarching point is, again, and I think we got on this because we're talking about, in coaching or even mentoring, how do you address certain people? I don't know if he had to convey his point the way he did that day.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that would have made. I think he could have just been like, "Hey, you got to go harder, right? I don't care.
No matter who's in front of you, don't play to the level of your competition." That was the overarching point.
That was, but he went off. He went off.
He went off. But that was Stevie Pretz. You feel me?
It was a different type of energy, and like I said, I'm not saying good, bad, or indifferent, or they're right and we're wrong, or vice versa. But I think my style is informed by
your personal experience.
Get my personal experience and the results I've had. I've had a lot of players who I don't know any players that I would go off on and that would help. And I also think you need to have a balance on the staff. Maybe I'm not saying there's not even room for that. I'm just saying that's not my role. That's not how I address the guys. And that doesn't mean they know I'm not serious about what we're out here trying to do and the goals we're trying to achieve. It just means they know we have a healthy respect for each other. And if
that's a fact.
You're not going to shortchange me with effort because I have respect and I treat you like a grown up.
Yeah, that's fact. So that brings me back to what I was saying about, I coach young athletes. So a lot of these guys, like when you talk to them, a lot of little league coaches don't realize that these are still kids.
11-year-olds.
They're football players, but they're still kids. So you don't 11 and 12-year-olds. So you don't really get that. Like when you're thinking about, all right, playing football, like you're thinking football. No, they're still kids. So a lot of times they still have playful moments in them. And, I wouldn't dare rob that from a young brother. So, but I reached a lot of them just by chopping it up with them. And not, like I said, not embarrassing one in particular. And one of the coolest moments of coaching football, coaching the youth is I did snap one game. But I didn't snap because anybody in particular did anything wrong. I snapped because they were pointing fingers at each other. So when I did snap, my overall message was, We are a team. Win, lose, or draw, we are a team. It don't matter. They won't say John lost or David lost. Or no, they're gonna say this team lost. And so that was actually a funny moment because when I snapped, like I said, everybody hear me coach, but I don't yell often. So when I snapped and yelled, by the time I was done, our whole sideline was quiet. Parents, other coaches, just astonished. But anyway, what happened with that was the head coach of, well, he wasn't the head coach of my particular team. He was like over the whole organization. He called me. He was just asking me, was I coming back to coach the next year? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But then he called me back. He was like, I just wanted to talk to you about, that moment. And he was like, my son. And his son, that's a whole nother conversation for another day.
Yeah.
But he said, my son came to me. He's like, I've never heard my son talk like this. He said, I was listening to Coach Gatewood, and you know what? He's right. I have to be a better leader and this, that, and the third. And, and it was just like, but on the regular, I talk to him. Like, I chop it up like, yo, bro, what's going on this, that, and the third? But, he's one of those athletes that needs that responds better to yelling.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
There's a difference between having a coach. Like, that's why I can never do it. And I commend you for being able to do that. I can't coach kids because I know I have a certain expectation of what we're trying to do. And like you said, a kid is going to be a kid sometimes.
Facts.
You have to, and if you're going to play that role and you're going to be in that job, you have to understand that and act accordingly. So I definitely commend anybody who has the wherewithal to be out there coaching the kids. But it's not the same way you could, 11-year-old, sometimes you got to yell at, because sometimes you got to yell at kids. Like, kids don't understand stuff. So that's a different energy than coaching a young adult.
Yeah, which brings me to my second coaching, my second thing I coach. I coach a full contact women's football team.
But them females grown.
Yeah, Mississippi Lady Panthers. And we've had moments where it was like, yo, you're a grown woman to understand that, but I'm your coach. So, and like I said, I don't face those moments very often, but they respond well to me. I don't yell either. I already said that. I don't really yell. I yelled at one of them one time, and that was a whole nother issue. But once again, it wasn't, when I yell, it don't be because you did something wrong on the field. Mm-hmm. I yell because your actions off the field, like on the sideline, slamming helmets, like getting down on yourself. That's the stuff that really gets me. But so the difference of coaching there is it's similar. I get to teach the game. Like I said, one thing I envied you, we talked about this, is you get to teach the game at a high level. You don't have to, teach the basics. You don't have to teach A gap or B gap or,
At first you do, but the beautiful part is you get 4 years with them.
I think when it comes to that, I think high school coaches fail us with that, because that's something that's generic in general, like A gap. Now, whole assignments on offense, they may vary. Some people go 1 through 7 across. Some people go odd, left, even, right.
Yeah.
But either way, that's basic football though, and that's an issue. But but back to coaching the ladies. With that is, I think I'm a part of something that could be historic. And I'm in it on the ground level, like women's full contact. Like, granted, there was the LFL, Lingerie Football League, and don't get it twisted about those players. See, a lot of people just see women in lingerie playing football or bikinis playing football.
It gets physical.
They balled. They were football players. It's just they used sex to sell them, sell that league. Okay. And that was unfortunate, because a lot of women got really hurt from that because they weren't properly protected. So that's a question I have to answer when people first ask, well, you coach women's football, is it, powder puff, or like, no, these queens out here balling.
Got pads on,
helmet. We teach routes, like, we got signals for our code, we got full playbook. This is real.
That's really dope. And I think it's about time for them to get that opportunity to play contact football, if that's what some females would like to do. I think
and the question I get a lot with that is, Well, y'all got a lot of what's the correct vernacular? I'm gonna use the correct vernacular. Y'all got a lot of studs on the team, and
talking about homosexuality, I think that's the
but not just homosexuality, like how they are in it. And the answer is we have a few.
Let's clear that up. That's very weird. I have to say that. Like, what is that? What I'm confused by. Someone would ask.
I try to. Now here's the thing about that, and I tell my ladies this a lot.
That is not the correct word. I'm pretty sure that is a slur.
No, stud isn't.
Is it not? Okay.
No. I listen. I'm very careful. I try to be very respectful of what I say to people, and so I'll ask.
I mean,
I got a good friend.
Absolutely.
I got a good friend.
People will say it and use it to be derogatory.
I got a good friend, and I'll ask. And that's another thing, people, like when it comes to stuff like this, you can't just go ask anybody. Like, so when I ask my friend questions like that, she knows I come from a genuine place. I'm not being funny. I mean, there's moments I make jokes, but once again, she knows I don't mean, there's no ever any ill intention toward her or anything like that. So, but that's their question. I got a lot of studs, and they don't really use that word. They use other words that are derogatory. And the answer is yes, we have some, but some aren't. Just being real, some aren't. But that's
the question is, why would people think that there has to be a correlation between
exactly
and
that's one of the issues but that's one of the joys of coaching this, because we get to break so many stigmatism. Like it's amazing that we get to break so many things that you thought about women playing football.
The stereotypes and stigmas
of
athlete in general. I mean, is the next new thing, but I mean, obviously, you see the WNBA still facing a lot of stereotypes and issues.
Right. In the league we're in, they're actually getting like different. We're endorsed. This league is endorsed by like Adidas. Like that's major. That's huge. I want to say there was a commercial during the Super Bowl, like that highlighted some of the women athletes in our league, and it's like I said. So coaching that's a whole different vibe and feeling. You feel me?
That's a great segue. The Super Bowl commercials. I did want to get your take on any ones that you hated.
I love the Tracy Morgan commercials.
I love Tracy Morgan. He's good. He's hilarious.
And I love them because I'm happy he made it back. Yeah, he went through something like literally life changing, almost life ending. Yeah, and the brother's back. I'm trying to think.
He was in
nothing else.
OG, right? That's his show on TBS. Fire.
Yep.
Tracy Morgan, man, that's dope. It's good to see him. It's good to see him just bounce back.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. No other ones really just stood out to me like that, other than the two Tracy Morgans.
What's her name? Amy Schuler one. The fairy god Mayo. The Hellmans.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, so she was like in Wings, and she's the fairy god Mayo. I think it was. It wasn't true. That was an interesting one. I thought that one was slightly comical because obviously she's a white woman. It was funny. So
white woman in Mayo.
Yeah, shout out to Hellmans for trying to do something edgy, but I thought it was funny. But again, we kind of have a different type of sense of humor, so maybe not everybody found it that funny.
Exactly. Nah, but that was mine. The Tracy Morgan, the one with the way dude in the middle of I think it was a vegan milk commercial.
Oh yeah.
In the middle playing the piano.
Milk.
Yeah, that was a little weird to me.
That was a little weird. The one I did like, shout out to my guy Shaggy. He did the Cheetos. It wasn't me. With Ashton
Kutcher and Mila.
Yeah, that was a funny one. Shout out to Shaggy. It's always nice to see some of the old legends.
It was great to see Mila in Ashton though. Like, shout out to, yeah.
I agree. No, it was dope. It was dope.
Somebody said I can tell Shaggy's getting old because I can actually understand what he's saying.
He's a man. He's westernized now. It's over.
Yeah, man.
What did you think about the halftime show? A lot of people hating on the weekend.
I loved it.
I loved the weekend, so I knew I was gonna like the halftime show, but a lot of people didn't fuck with it.
I love the halftime show. I think he did an amazing job, especially considering he didn't have a crowd there. So you gotta remember, a lot of times these artists and stuff, they feed off the energy of the crowd.
Yeah.
and that wasn't there. Like, I mean, granted, what they said, they had like 20-something thousand people in the stands. Yeah, something like that. And he performed for them, but he performed for us. And that was amazing. Like, I think he did a great job. I didn't realize I knew so many Weeknd songs.
That's what I'm trying to say. That was gonna be my point. The hits are undeniable. How can you not like The Weeknd? The hits are there, hit after hit after hit. There was, and I'm not even talking about like hood classic hits. I'm talking about #1 radio.
Pop hits.
Yeah, pop bops. Like, this dude has these #1s, and I thought it was a great show. People gotta get off The Weeknd, man. That was a great show.
Yeah. Nah, that was he did an amazing job. Like, I didn't realize I didn't realize I liked The Weeknd that much, but I do. You feel me?
It was gonna be a very dope show.
Especially the joint where he ran in the back and had the camera on himself, and
yeah, it was fire. It was fire.
Had the violins in the background on stage, giving it up crazy. Here's something interesting that happened during the Super Bowl. Like, I was during the halftime show. I was with my friend, and I was at a little Super Bowl gathering. We social distance. There was only 4 people there.
Hope so.
Yeah, it was 4 people there. By the way, I showed out in the kitchen, and I'll send you videos and pictures of that. Oh my God, I wowed out. Wild out in the kitchen, but that's neither here nor there. Chef Boyardee shakes. All right. But now, like, she was like, well, most dudes don't pay attention to the halftime show. I'm like, I don't think that's true. And she was like, well, you're different. She was like, you're not from Mississippi or Jackson. Like, most dudes like, nah, I don't want to see this and blah, blah, blah. And then, like, as she was saying it, I checked Facebook, and somebody posted, they should have had Young Dolph for the halftime show. One thing we got to realize about halftime shows and things like that don't appeal to the like world. You feel me?
No disrespect to Young Dolph, because
I like Young Dolph.
Young Dolph.
Preach. You feel me?
Yeah, but it ain't for the.
But I think artists like that know they don't appeal to the world.
No, and that's fine to have your target. I'm sure the All Done Podcast doesn't appeal to the world, but I'm
absolutely not.
I'm happy to have the people that view us and check us out.
Yeah, shout out to y'all, man. We have some loyal followers and subscribers, and shout out to y'all for real.
And it's fine to not everybody. Everything is not for everybody. I think
that's facts.
Society. But that my point being, then The Weeknd got bops for everybody. The Weeknd got #1 bops for everybody. So I think people were used to like a U2, Coldplay, Justin Timberlake, right? Those are more, I don't know if I would say household names, because I think everybody knows them, but maybe more acceptable to the masses. Yeah.
I'm still a little upset what they did to Janet. I'm not gonna lie about that one.
I'm not really over that either.
Yeah, nah. And I'm not, like, the mistake was the mistake, but I'm really not feeling JT over that. You feel me? Just because he left her out to dry, like.
So to me, I didn't like that move, but I mean, we've had this or maybe we didn't, and maybe we should. But me, I can separate the artist from the art.
Oh yeah, I'm a bump some JT classics, Dirty Pop, I'll be on it.
Yeah, some of that music is
it's great music. I think he's a great artist, but
I can like the music,
and dislike the person,
and not fuck with him as an individual. That individual act, that shit wasn't cool. So that's something. So for me, I guess I had a question beyond the commercials. What are you thinking about? I've been seeing a lot of people talk about like, nah, I'm not. We still boycotting the Super Bowl because it's Colin Kaepernick over here all day.
I think that's tough. That's a tough situation.
Uh-oh. Go ahead.
Here's why. Because as we spoke about earlier in this podcast, like somebody like me and you, clearly we're for the advancement of our people. We're for the advancement of getting better and doing things better. But we know football is something we love.
It is.
Something that changed our lives dramatically. So how could I, I get how I can't, but I need people to understand, well, I get how they could. You feel me?
This is the reason we live in a free country, right? So I wouldn't knock, and this is my problem. There's no win to be gained if you knock people that watch the Super Bowl. Like, where's the for saying like, oh, nah, you selling out, or you shouldn't be watching the Super Bowl because what they did. I mean, let's not front like, oh my God, the NFL just got super racist.
Just now.
Exactly. Like once Colin whatever happened to Colin, which I agree that was wrong. And I agree that, that fight is still continuing. But let's not front like, oh my God, Colin Kaepernick is the be all end all for racism in the NFL. I mean, that's just not true. Right? Like Tony Dungy's or maybe it wasn't Tony Dungy. I have to get the author, but it's a book called Third and Long. And it details all the black athletes that were playing in the 60s and the 70s and some of their struggles and some of their stories. And come on, man. That league's been problematic. And I think people are trying to fix it now and people are drawing more attention to it now. But the racism in the NFL has been apparent for decades. This is not.
Yes, facts. Shout out to Colin, by the way. Shout out to Kaepernick.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, I'm not here to judge you if you watched the Super Bowl or didn't, because like we talked about, I don't know what the game brought an individual. Right? Like people, especially during this time, are down, depressed. If you could watch that game and get 3 hours of joy, man, I'm not taking that away from you.
I'm not, because you don't know what people going through in their everyday lives.
These are facts. So it's not for me to judge nobody. And I think you can walk and chew gum at the same time. I think you can watch and watch the sport that you might love and still support Colin Kaepernick. I don't think that there's a problem with that.
Facts. Absolutely. No. You're 100% right. So that's my feeling on Colin. Like I get how you would not want to watch it. But I also get why I love to watch it.
Right. Make a decision for yourself. But
and if that's the case, if you feel that strongly about, you should boycott Colin in the NFL. Not Colin, I'm sorry, the NFL, and So what is your solution? Because we always say this on the All Done podcast. This is we're solution based. So for somebody like me and my brother over here, who's who's affected our life, who's been a part of our life, who's been a stronghold in our lives. Well, how do how do I replace that? So if you're going to tell me to boycott it, that's fine. How do I replace that void? Because there's a void. So example, when they did the bus boycott, well, how do you replace transportation? The replacement was, well, some people walked. Some people, they seen somebody walking because they was boycotting. They pick them up.
There was more unity.
What is it?
I don't believe in an NFL boycott from a viewing perspective. Like we don't hold enough chips, I don't think, to shut. It would have to. I would do it if enough of the players were on board with that. If you had Hall of Famers and black players that are currently in the game being like, "Yo, we're not doing this," then I think people would support that.
And that hurts them too.
Exactly.
Let's not forget that hurts them too if we boycott.
On board if they
still out here getting paid.
Exactly. They're still playing. They're still watching. So obviously, and I'm not saying they're wrong for that. I'm saying that boycott is not the avenue, because to their point and to their defense, they're taking care of their families. They're taking care of a lot of other families. I can't tell a person not to take care of their family, even if the movement is bigger than taking care of your family. I don't.
Yeah, the movement is bigger than an individual.
But I wouldn't feel comfortable, and maybe other people would, and you're gonna call them coons, or you're gonna say whatever you're gonna say. I'm not about to tell no black athlete that came from nothing to not take his millions. And yes, you can feel how you want to feel, and maybe I feel how I feel. Like I said, right? We're all responsible, and I hold those brothers accountable, and at least I try to. But not take care of your family, I can't. Nah, man.
Yeah, but that contradicts what we talk about, right? We talk about the come up and now whether they will or not, that's a whole nother conversation. But that puts them in a position to take care of their community as well.
It does. So I mean, it's not all bad.
So
that's my point, right? Life is not black and white. So I don't want Malcolm Jenkins, the safety for the Eagles. I don't want him to not get his check. Because I know and I see some of the good work he's doing with his money, and he needs to be working to get his money to continue to do his good work. So there are a lot of players, not granted, are there some that are like on some bullshit? Sure there are.
Absolutely. I mean, but that's with everything, right?
In the league, there's not enough. It would take a lot of those athletes to come together in a real way. Us as consumers of the league, there's always going to be consumers of the league. You're not about to stop people because of the reasons we just mentioned. Some people, that's their only happy time.
It's the getaway.
Exactly on Sunday.
Getaway.
On Sunday, this is all I got is on Sundays. Hate every other aspect of my life, but on Sundays, I can sit on my couch and watch football.
On Monday, I woke up and said football's off for 7 months, 6 months, 7, whatever it is. That's what I thought about Monday morning. Now, granted, you can do stuff like support your local women's team if you have them. Look it up, WNFC.
Yeah.
WNFC, the Mississippi Lady Panthers, if you're here in Mississippi.
They've been trying to get those leagues on TV, like those. They're like the CFL, but they're based in the United States. And obviously, there's been a lot of talk about the XFL. So I think those leagues are being created. I mean, not because people know they love football, but because there's a want. People want to see the sport year round.
Right.
That's why you create a league. That's why you create all these extra leagues, because people want to watch football.
Facts. And I think we're going to do something where we try to stream our game. So, another shameless plug, the Mississippi Lady Panthers. Follow us on Facebook. You feel me? In Instagram, you feel me? But but for real though, there is that want for football. And so that boycott is tough. Like I said, I see why you would, but I also see why you wouldn't.
All right, let's wrap this thing up, man. We ended up wrapping up this episode of the Done Podcast. Let's do Super Bowl picks for next year. Who you got? AFC team, NFC team. Who's coming out? Who's gonna be there? We can refer back to this a year from now if you pick them.
Facts. That's tough because you put me on the spot.
AFC. Who's coming out? Who's gonna win the damn thing?
So I'm gonna pick my AFC first because I just feel like they're a good team. I really got 2 teams that could be it, but I'm gonna stick with this one. Yeah. I think the Bills. They're dangerous.
Bills out the AFC.
Yeah, Bill fell just short. They were my Super Bowl pick, from week 14 or whatever. I had the Bills.
It's not going to be hard under the Jets, the Dolphins, the Patriots. I mean, the Bills, that division's open to be dominated.
Yeah, facts. So the Bills is my team coming out. That's who I got coming out the AFC. The AFC is tough. So of course you got to go with Tampa Bay. Because they're the current champions, but in that division alone, though, you still got the Saints in there. And, I always root for.
No, who's the core? You got Taysom Hill, you got Jameis, or you got the draft.
I wonder why. I wonder what's the deal with Taysom. Like, I think he's too valuable at every position to just make him your starting quarterback. I think that's why they're doing that. But in that division, so. Of course, you got to go with the Bucks. The Saints are an amazing team. It depends on who's the quarterback. But it's tough. I don't know. Of course,
get back to play the Bills.
The Bucks getting back to play the Bills?
That's what you
I don't have that. So NFC is tough.
Who's coming to play the Bills out of the NFC?
I don't know.
Now you don't.
Tough. Now you don't. You see who I got in the background. Everybody know I watch Carolina too as well. So it's tough.
All right, I'm not going.
Yeah, don't make me pick nobody right now from the NFC.
I'm not going to force you to choose, but I'll choose. And here's an interesting take. I'm going to go with the Chiefs to get back out of the AFC because I imagine that they're only going to get better.
I don't think that's happened before, by the way.
For a team 3 times in a row?
No, for a team to lose a Super Bowl.
Go back to next year?
The Bills did it, huh? Didn't they lose 3 years in a row or something like that?
4 years in a row, I believe. But
that's tough.
That Chiefs team is young enough where I can only see them getting better, and all their stars are coming back. Tyreek coming back, Travis Kelce coming back. I'd imagine Honey Badger going to be back. Chris Jones up front. They'll probably get another edge rusher to go with Chris Jones. Maybe they can use another linebacker, maybe another corner. But, I mean, they're loaded offensively. I'd imagine they'll probably Clyde Edwards-Helaire will be back. I don't know if Le'Veon will, but they're loaded enough where who in the AFC? Maybe you got the Bills, but you see what the Chiefs did to the Bills. So it's tough. So I would pick the Chiefs coming out of the AFC, and I got them versus. I'm gonna call redemption time for Green Bay. So maybe we see Patrick Mahomes go against 2 GOATs of the game in back-to-back years.
I've seen that. I like that Green Bay pick. I just don't think Aaron Rodgers is what he's been. I think Father Time is.
The man just won the MVP 4 days ago, right?
Yeah, but but he didn't win a Super Bowl. You feel me? You feel me? So,
He lost to the champs.
You feel me? So I think Father Tom is going to start to catch up with him, and shout out to. I actually like Aaron though.
I think he's a little arrogant, and I think he's a little cocky, and I think that matches some of the qualities.
I would say I love that in a football player,
Yeah.
and that's a whole conversation we can have later about people, whether it be entertainers or athletes, and their cockiness and arrogance.
Sure, and I think the society making room for them to do that. But that's a conversation for a different All Done podcast. My brother, it's always a pleasure chopping it up with you. And on that note, this podcast is all done.
All done. We up out of here.
Don't you go off now. That's right. Don't go off. Yeah. Nah, don't you go off now. Look, hey, I woke up this morning living my best life. And if it isn't, at least I gave it my best try. I'm just enjoying the moments cause ain't no next time. Trying to slide with my people on the west side. Yeah, moving different than all the rest cause I'm about doing it different. New vision.